Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I'm thrilled to chat with actor and musician Todd Almond. Todd recently toured the US in his original musical Kansas City Choir Boy, starring alongside rock icon Courtney Love. His musical Girlfriend, based on the Matthew Sweet album of the same title, is a perennial favorite for theater companies around the country. Todd also appears in HBO Max's new Gossip Girl series, as well as on Broadway and the new musical Girl from the North Country. But this Christmas, he has an album of carefully chosen covers, holiday favorites, and originals called A Pony for Christmas, and we discuss recording it, song selection, Todd's incredible career, and much more. It's a fun interview, and I hope you enjoy.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. I was just sitting here listening to what is sure to be my new favorite Christmas song, a Kate Bush medley I didn't know I needed.
Oh my God.
I'm a sucker for Christmas music. There's something, there are certain songs that I don't know what resonant frequency it hits when the air moves in your lungs or what, but they just feel freaking good to sing. And Oh Holy Night is one of them for me. I don't care where my faith is. That song is great. And so I'm always a sucker for Christmas albums. And I know that this one was kind of special to put together for you. Can you talk to me a little bit about the track selection? Just going through these, I kept being surprised at the choices. And then we'll talk in a minute about how good the choices you made on these versions are. But in terms of putting this together and putting together A Pony for Christmas, how was the gestation of that idea and then the kind of track picking?
Well, it began as it's kind of been like 20 years in the making, really. My mother, who loves Christmas music as well, and I do too. I look forward to it every year. She's always asked me to make a Christmas album, and I've always wanted to, but I couldn't figure out how. So I've never done it, and I just. You got to have a way into something. And I thought I didn't want to dash it off. And it always felt like, maybe I'll do it this year, but I don't know what to do. I don't know. And then it was her 70th birthday this past year. And I wanted to get her something very special. And her birthday was in April. But it suddenly occurred to me, oh, wait, she's been telling me for 20 years what she wants more than anything. And it's a thing that I can do. She wants something specifically from me, and I can make this, I can do this. So it dawned on me, a Christmas album, of course. And so then what had been such a roadblock in my thinking was suddenly a wide open road. The song selection became very clear. And I thought, the goal is to make an album that it feels like a gift to someone that I love. And then it expanded. It's a gift from me to everyone in my life that has helped me or has made me who I am. And so when the songs started to feel like they were coming from a place of gratitude and of joy and of celebration, it suddenly became so much easier. And it took the like self-obsession part away from it, because when you're trying to come up with a set list for a concert or for an album, there's so much ego involved in it, and so much like, well, what sounds good, or what's going to make people like me, and when it suddenly became about what do other people want, or what do other people like, or what can I provide that is something that I've worked on my whole life that I can do, that is like something I've figured out how to do, it just became easier. And then that aligns so well with what a Christmas album is in the first place and what you're trying to celebrate anyway. So it just suddenly started to flow from there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Was it just kind of seems like one of those, oh, of course moments of this Christmas album should be a Christmas present. I should treat this like a gift. And you're right. I think often in creative endeavors, it can change or ease that pressure of just, well, I'm creating this silly creative thing for myself, and should I really do this? And versus, no, this is a gift I am making for someone else that has a part of me in it. And it really changes the approach to it, I think. in terms of picking the songs, were some of these her favorites, or some of these your favorites? There's one in particular on here that just thrilled to have a recording of. Welcome Home is such a good song.
Thank you.
And as I understand it, there just simply weren't recordings of this prior.
There weren't. So my friend Lear DeBesnay and I created this this offshoot of the Public Theater called Public Works, where we wrote musical adaptations of Shakespeare, or in this case, Homer with the Odyssey, and we performed them in Central Park at the Delacorte stage with 200 plus cast members, and they felt like such a big celebration of New York. And they were fast and furious and exciting, and we never ever recorded any of it. And so this is the very first time any of those songs has been recorded. And it just seemed to fit in this collection of songs thematically. And I really enjoyed including original songs on this album, even though they're not necessarily Christmas themed. They're somehow the theme of the album, which feels under the bigger Christmas umbrella. Mm-hmm. I kind of lost the thread there of what I was saying, but yeah, thank you for liking that song. I was so excited to record it finally.
Well, that's what when I heard it, I realized, I mean, there's no way that I possibly could have seen this musical. And it just immediately, it felt like a familiar, like, oh, no, I like that. What band is this? Oh, no, that's okay. Great. I'm a sucker for orchestral pop, Jellyfish kind of stuff. And so it just immediately, the harmonies, the string, all of it. Throughout the album, I feel like there's a lot of choices like that. There's some string parts in your version of Oh Holy Night that are just amazing. Christmas Eve being instrumental, it's just a lovely piece of music. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the bigger musical choices on the album?
Yes. The string idea occurred to me in conversations with the co-producer on the album, Peter Sacken. I called Peter and said, so I have this idea. I want to make this Christmas album. It's going to have songs that aren't necessarily Christmassy, but they'll fit in this way. And we just really talked about what the instrumentation should be, and we hit upon strings. And I said, for me, the string conversation actually started with the First Noel, Angels We Have Heard on High selection on the album. I said, I've always loved in Christmas albums when somebody makes a big orchestral gesture with a traditional Christmas song where they're just really embracing the huge, like, symphonic joy of the holiday that you can only get away with at that time of year. And so he said, oh, well, we should go to David Shenton, who's an incredible arranger, and we'll understand this immediately. So that's where it started for me with the strings. And I thought, okay, that would be strings would be a nice theme to just kind of salt and pepper throughout the album, not have them on every track, not lean too heavily into it, but really just pick our moments. And so we found a quartet. Peter helped put together a quartet of string players, which we then put on Moon Over Nebraska and the Kate Bush medley. And that felt like the perfect amount of strings for the album. And then I called Peter. There were two kind of last minute inspirations. The instrumental piece you talked about called Christmas Eve, and actually the title track, A Pony for Christmas, came very late. I actually wanted to call the album A Pony for Christmas before that song existed. And I called Peter and I said, okay, I have to have a song called A Pony for Christmas, so I'm going to write it right now. And then I have written this piece called Christmas Eve, and I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to record it at the piano. I'm going to send it to you. And what do you think? Maybe there should be, he's a cellist himself. He's the cellist on the album. And I said, maybe, there should be cello. And, you send these things out. There's something about being a songwriter where you sit alone and you think, I've got the best idea. And then you record it and you send it off. And then you're horrified. And you think, what if they hate this? What if this is terrible? Which sometimes it is. And sometimes people write back and they're like, I don't know. I don't know, maybe you should think about this a bit more. So I had that, in that moment with both of those pieces, I thought, I think this is cool. Let's do this. And luckily Peter agreed, and he put that beautiful cello track down on Christmas Eve. So it all came from this bigger idea of making a gift that started as a gift for my mother, but then expanded to a gift for, to everyone in my life, and then just the listener, him or herself. And then the choices started to just emerge from that. That is the longest answer I've ever given in my life, but that's
no, I appreciate it. There's times where I ask questions and folks have a sentence and I'm like, oh, you're done. Okay, cool.
You don't have to worry about that with me.
I'm always curious whenever someone's done any level of musical theater, if they feel a line between those two creative outlets, if all singing feels like communicating a character, or if it feels like two separate talents that you occasionally blend. Do you feel, when you're on Gossip Girl and you're not singing necessarily, does it feel like you are working a different skill set, or does it kind of all feel of a piece?
They feel connected source-wise, but they definitely, once they leave that source, they travel down very different paths. I was thinking about that the other night on stage for Girl from the North Country at the Belasco. My character is very emotional in that show, and I was somehow thinking, I don't even know why I was thinking this, but I thought, I have to remember this. This moment feels useful for Gossip Girl. So I just have to remember this, whatever this feeling is. I wasn't on stage thinking that. I was actually backstage about ready to go on. But, you kind of do this prep before you go on stage. And so I was in that moment, and I had that dual thought of, right, whatever this feeling is actually really helpful. I have to remember that when I'm shooting a scene for Gossip Girl, even though they are entirely different styles and obviously different media. They are connected. And I think sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. I was in Nashville recording some music recently, and with this great Nashville producer who records a lot of people that I love who are not musical theater, and they're just, they are solid musicians that I look up to. And I was singing, band had laid down the tracks, and I was in the booth singing, and he was very gently kind of giving me notes and guiding me, saying, Todd, what if you sing it like this? And I kept kind of missing the mark, and finally I stopped and I said, Andrea, is it just too musical theater-y? And there was a long pause, and he goes, and I heard a little click of his microphone go on. It goes, click, and he goes, yeah. No, it's okay. Right. Okay. I got it.
Now I know exactly what to do.
They're connected in a bad way at this moment. I need to figure out how to separate them.
Oh, that's great. And of course you've got the actual Pony for Christmas stage performance at Chelsea Table and Stage on December 13th.
Yes.
I assume, like everybody else, you've probably not gotten to perform out a lot in the last year. What was it like getting to put this together and get it ready to actually take to a crowd?
I love putting together a live show. And so sort of like going in and making an album, I like making it specific and its own thing. And so I, again, called Peter, who's been such a guiding force in this project. And I said, okay, so we're going to do this live show, but I think there's something special about the choices we made for the recording. So I want to make it special again for the live show. So what do you think if we have a harpist? So I feel like the focal instrument has changed and taken on a whole exciting new color. that's one of my favorite things about live performances. This sounds obvious, but it's what is most thrilling to me is that you are making music with the people in the room. And so I get very excited about like who is in that room and what does that mean that we get to make, because it changes. If you have a single guitarist, you do this. If it's just you at the piano, you do this. And so I really get excited about the weird limiting factor of who's in the room, because when you really nail it down, like it's me, it's a harp, it's a guitar. Let's say it's that. It's going to be more than that. But suddenly it doesn't actually feel like fewer choices. It feels like more choices, because you know the colors that you're playing with, and you can really then start to create. So I'm excited about the live show because I feel like it's going to be a surprising again. Like if you listen to the album and thought it was surprising, I think you'll come to the live show and feel like there's a whole new set of surprises.
Well, folks can get tickets and check it out December 13th, and the album is just great. There's so many good versions of many favorites, and really, if folks are thinking that it's just going to run through the standards, no, there are some amazing choices on this album. And of course, folks can check you out on Gossip Girl over on HBOMax right now.
Yes. Oh, we have and the new episodes drop on Thanksgiving, so it's going to be an exciting. Oh, that's this week, Thursday.
Yes.
Thursday that drops three episodes. Yes. And the Thanksgiving episode, if you watch the original series, the Thanksgiving episode was always a very important episode, and it is again true this time around. So
that's great. Thank you so much for talking to me about it all today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Wait, but you're a Kate Bush fan?
Yes. I was absolutely amazed to see.
We talked about it for a second, but I wanted to hear more about like what I mean, because I am like a super fan.
I am not. I know very little Kate Bush, other than years ago. I had a friend of mine that we basically would do album swaps of like, who is this band that you love that you can't believe I haven't heard, which is a whole YouTube phenomenon now. I realize people do reaction videos to stuff, but this is like 2001 or something. And Susan loaned me a Kate Bush album. I believe it was the one with her in the box that I think Tori also did a similar photo of. And I remember hearing running up that hill and being like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I already loved Peter Gabriel, so I kind of only knew her tangentially from that avenue. From
Don't Give Up.
Yes. Which weirdly, the version of Don't Give Up that I associate most is off of a live CD I had.
With Sinead O'Connor. Yeah. Oh no, with is it Sinead O'Connor?
It's oh God, it's not Meredith Brooks. It's Paula Cole. Yes. Paula
Cole. That's right.
And so it was odd that like I think of Kate Bush with Gabriel, but really I know the Paula Cole version better. But Running Up That Hill is just one of those songs that anytime it crops up, you can see the people in the room who know it, because it's just an immediate like, It's like looking around the room and seeing like the other person that knows the Ecstasy song or something that's on. I'm like, oh, that's
Yep.
And so so you said you're a super fan. How did the blending of all of this and fitting that on the album? It's just such a cool version. Can you talk a little bit about getting to do that?
No, I mean, I was just inspired. I love that song. I was sitting at the piano playing Hounds of Love, and then it just was one of those kind of accidental things where I was goofing off, and I suddenly just had a little lightning bolt of inspiration and recorded what I was doing, and then wrote the string part for it, which is very similar to the string part that she uses in Hounds of Love, and but I just kind of kept going with that and expanded that idea a little bit. But I didn't quite know how it fit, but I feel like it does. There's like an emotional there's like an emotional quality to all the songs that I feel like make them make sense on a Christmas album, and that was one of those where I can't justify it any other way. It doesn't lyrically have anything to do with Christmas. It doesn't sound like a Christmas song, but there's some kind of emotional sense to the whole thing. And I I love her. I love the way she writes. I love what she writes about. And I could geek out about Kate Bush all day. I love her.
Similarly, the Natalie Merchant choice, Kind of Generous. I think her voice was one of the first female voices in the 90s that I heard in a new band and went, oh my God, who is that woman? And can I hear her sing a phone book? There's some amazing quality to her voice. And then as you know, once 10,000 Maniacs split up and I got to start hearing Merchant solo stuff, her songwriting as well, and song choices. Picking Kind of Generous, was that a particularly special one for you, or was that one that your mom had heard, or how did that end up on there?
No, I've always wanted to sing a Natalie Merchant song because I similarly just love her, and I have. She just holds up, you know. I mean, you and I. It sounds like you and I are around the same age, just by all the musical references.
Yeah, I saw her play on Lilith Fair.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great. We're in the same universe. So it just occurred to me when I was making an album that was literally saying, like, here's a gift, thank you. That song just immediately cropped up. Well, here's a song that very prosaically says, thank you.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't beat around the bush. It just, the chorus is thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So that just kind of felt like an easy fit. And I debated, that was one of those songs where I thought, I don't want to overthink it. I just want to do that song. And so, you know, it just kind of feels like a straight up version of that song. And, you know, you run the risk of being overly sincere in these things. And so I just thought, well, it's such a beautiful song. It says what it needs to say very simply. So I'm just going to not get in the way. I'm just going to do it. And we just got great players to play it.
Yeah. At this point, I think life's too short. If you're in the studio and you have a song you want to do, throw it on there. We can deal with it.
I agree. And it's so important, especially, you know, when I was in Nashville, that was one of the things I learned going out there to work on this other project, that you get players in the room, and that's 90% of the task, is you just get incredible musicians who, you know, you have an easy way of communicating with, and then you just kind of shut up and let it happen. And you just try to get out of the way and let the thing that is, you know, bring all the ideas, but then let the collective thing happen, because that's the beauty of musicians, is that they, you know, they're bringing something that you don't have, and you just have to trust that.
Yeah. Those happy accidents, the interplay, you know, these things that only happen when you have creative people being creative together. And like you said, getting out of your own way on it.
Yeah.
Well, I think everybody's going to love it. And the folks who get to see it live are super lucky. Thank you so much for chatting with me about it all today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. It was fun.
TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.